Doo-doo-doo. All right, Oti, the Last of Us. Yeah, also first time here, you got the little music there. Last of Us, we got another flashback episode. Although the episode started similar to the last flashback, where they give us a little bit of a bit of what happened from last time. We know that Joel got stabbed with this broken bat and is dying in the snow. They didn't show us how they got there, but Ellie's able to drag Joel, thanks to the horse, because we can see all the blood stains on the snow, to this community or something, and trying to save him. But then we jump to this flashback to when she gets beat. But of course, that's at the end of the episode. I always start, how close is this with the video game, and then your overall thoughts on the episode.
So it was pretty close. I mentioned in the last episode, in the game, he gets impaled rather than stabbed, and I like the change because Ellie healing him like with a stab wound from side to side like made no sense. So I did like that change. Yeah, it was pretty faithful to the game. I think the only difference is that in the game, this is happening in a mall, and she's looking for things to stitch him with. And as she like walks through the mall, she's having all these memories of what happened with Riley.
Okay.
But all the events that take place in the flashbacks are extremely accurate, and it's interesting because this is based not on the game per se. It's based on a DLC. With anyone who doesn't play video games, that's usually like an extra chapter they release after the game, and you get to play it. So it's based on that, but it's also based on a comic book that they released prior to the show, to the game. So it took elements from that comic book and brought it in. So that was pretty cool. I love the episode. I already heard the F word. I heard the woke agenda word, and I freaking love this episode.
Yeah. So DLC is kind of, if you only watch Mandalorian and you want to know what happened with Grogu, you gotta watch Book of Boba Fett. That's a DLC.
Basically. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Perfect. Also, I enjoyed the episode. It wasn't my favorite. There've been some great episodes this season, and since the previous week was my favorite, this was a little bit of I don't know if letdown, but it was a little bit of a few notches. I really enjoyed it because I keep saying we all love Pedro Pascal and what he's been doing as Joel. I think Bella Ramsey is just at his level, the way she's been acting and portraying Ellie. So I love seeing that character more vulnerable, because through the whole season, she's been this badass, doesn't care about anyone. And here we see why she gets to that point. I guessing first person she loves, that being kind of her fault that she gets killed or infected, but wasn't my favorite. But I did enjoy it. They go to a mall. We all loved malls when we were younger. So mall question, Arsu. I know you said you've been keeping up with people talking about it, but they spend the whole episode in this broken down mall. It's been like 20 years, right? So from 2003, this mall has been closed. We see all the old stores and stuff, and of course the arcade. When you were a teenager and went to the mall, what was your go-to store? Or area.
So when I was actually, it doesn't matter whether I was here or like I spent part of my youth in Iran, so we would go to Dubai because it was like a hop, skip, and a jump, and they had malls there. They did it in Iran. The bookstore was my go-to. Nothing has changed. The bookstore and Claire's.
Claire's. Ooh.
Yeah, Claire's had like the fun earrings and lip gloss.
Yeah. How about you, Ate? Was there anything on this episode that you said, "Oh, I've been to that store"? I know a lot of those we didn't have in Puerto Rico, but what's your go-to?
Yeah, many of those stores are here now, but like in the 90s, they like were not here. I love the arcade. What was the arcade called here? Time Out or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love the arcade. I spent a lot of time in. It wasn't GameStop. It was a Babbage's or something.
Oh man, what is it? Yeah, I can't remember, but that name.
It was funny because GameStop had 3 stores in the biggest mall in Puerto Rico, and they all had different names, but they were all GameStop, and everyone would debate which one was better. It's the same store.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I used to go to Sam Goody, which was the music store down there. KB Toys, of course. The mall even had a pet shop at one point, which right now, no, please. But yeah, then we all just ended up in the arcade.
Actually, I loved Specs. Specs was the Puerto Rico Specs was the last one to close. Like, so I used to go to Specs and Suncoast Music, I think, movies. They always have specials and DVDs, so I would love
Okay.
that.
And I won't lie, I spent a lot of time, a lot of money in Hot Topic. When they finally opened in Puerto Rico, you can find me at a Hot Topic. So,
Do you remember when that store opened? People were so afraid of it.
man, I'm a metalhead. You know,
because so that mall was like a hub for goth people. So people would be like, "Oh, Diablo!" And Puerto Rico's a very religious place. So people were like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
I would go in and my friends would be like, "Oh my god,
holy water!" Yeah, and now it's just
I just want a Slipknot shirt.
Yeah, and then now it's just a place for Funko Pops.
They have Justin Bieber playing when you go in.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
but it was a good episode. No idea what's gonna happen to Joel. He got stitched up very badly. It's not gonna work. It's gonna get infected.
You know what, Alberto? I'm gonna recommend to you, once we get all the way to the end of the story, go back and watch this episode, because a lot of the things that happen into this episode hit so much harder. I just played the second game again, and there are a lot of beats that just like punch me in the face, and I was like, oh my god, that connects so well to that thing that's gonna happen. So
okay,
to everyone, just keep it in mind, because it's an important episode. I really, really liked it.
All right.
Storm Reed's awesome.
She was, but we won't do that. That's fine. Well, I won't go back. So it kind of brings an end to our Last of Us. Any final thoughts on it, Oti or Arzu?
I am very excited for next week's episode, because as I told you, this is my favorite part of the story.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited.
All right. I saw, of course, a little trailer for what's gonna happen. She meets other people. They take her in. I don't know. I don't want that.
I'm very interested in this, because I know someone who watched and told me changes are coming. So I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, I said before, not the biggest fan of Walking Dead after like season 7 or 8. I knew at some point Joel and Ellie were gonna get separated. She'll probably get kidnapped or something. I'm just gonna get so anxious being a parent. I don't want that. So we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, so that brings an end to our episode today. Thanks for everyone that was on the chat for being here. Thanks to Norhal for all her comments, and being Norhal the Great, as she's always is in the chat. Mo, Amy, Brennan, Michael, everyone else that was here today. Thanks for joining us. Hot topic. Oti, as always, thanks for being here. But also as our guest, it's always great when you're here. Can't wait to have you back. Where can people find you? All that fun stuff that you're always doing for Collider, Space Waffle, all that.
Well, you can find me. Best place right now is Twitter at ArzuAmin. I'm at ArzuD2 everywhere else. So Hive, Instagram, Tumblr, all of that. I'm on Collider. I'm writing at the Geeky Waffle. Space Waffles is back. We've gone down to monthly episodes because the burnout was real. Yeah. So, but we're finally back. We're back from hiatus, and we're excited about it.
All right. So make sure to check that out. You'll find her Twitter handle on the description of this video. We'll put all the links to the other stuff there. But yeah, check it out. Some great reviews also on Collider. Oti, you say it every week, but where can people find you?
You can find me over at Twitter, Instagram, and Hive at EPS.Wars. I'm sure Alberto leaves the links down below.
One of these days, I won't put your information on the description.
People don't want to find me.
I know. That's why. They'll come here just, he's back. All right. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be back next week with more Mandalorian Talk the Bad Batch, trying to get some cool guests. Hopefully we'll get able to reveal those in the coming weeks. Thanks for joining us. See you next week. Stay safe. Be safe. And may the Force be with you.